So yesterday we have seen how to create a Flask application, and then I said about working with the templates. And I said what is a template is. I said template is an HTML file. So what is a template is? A template is an HTML file, and template is a server-side program, and this is what we have seen. And how to render the template? You are inserting the template, or you are rendering the template by using one function. And what is the name of the function is render template. Okay. And then we are talking about request object. Okay. So it means you can send the data to a view function or application. See, a Flask application can have either one function or more than one function. See, Flask application can have either one function or more than one function. Okay, right? So here, so the client can send a request. Means what he can do is he can send the data. Now client can send the data to what a server side program. And how we can send the data to the server side program? By using which object? Request object. For example, you have a form. So where you enter the data, suppose this is form where you input username, and what is the password. So after giving username and password, you try to click on what is login. Okay. So once you click on the login, so the request is sent to what here view. But how the request is sent? This is a form, right? And you can send the request by using HTTP request methods. So you are using an HTTP request method. This HTTP request method can be either get. This HTTP request method can be either get. This HTTP request method can be either what post. This HTTP request method can be either get or what is it post. If the request method is a get, the data is sent as a part of which one? Query string. You know already this. If the request method is a post, the data is sent as a part of request body. If the request method is a get, the data is sent as a part of query string. But if the request method is a post, the data is sent as a part of request body. And here you cannot send large amount of data. You cannot send a large amount of data because here the data is sent by concatenating with URL. Because of URL length restriction, you cannot send large amount of data and you can send only the data of which type of string. But if the request method is a post, okay, you can send any type of data. You can send a string, you can send a binary, any type of data can be sent if the request method is what here? Post. Okay. So once you send a request, that request is read by what here? View function. But here you don't have any separate module called view function. But here you call it as which application? Flask application. Okay. It is sent as a part of request. It is sent as a part of request body. Here you don't have any term called view, but here I can call this as which application? I can call this as which application? Flask application. This Flask application is having either one function or more than one function. And this function read the data given by whom? Client. Let me tell you about this, like how to send the data to the Flask application and how to read the data in the Flask application. But here I'm not communicating with any database. Okay. So later I'll tell you how to communicate with the database. Okay. So a request is an implicit object. Okay. It means it is created by server and it is available to the Flask application. It is created by server. It is created by server and available to which application? Flask application. So that is done by using which object here? Request object, right? So let me tell you about this. So here what I'm doing is, okay, now I'm creating one template. Okay, assume that this is a template and this is called as which template? Some login template. This is called as which template? Login template. Okay. So I'm creating a template and this is a login template. So where I'm saying something like a form. So I'm creating a form and I create a table and I'm trying to define the width here. Okay. So here I'm trying to input two values. One is username and I try to input username by using input type is a text and name equal to uname. So I try to input username. Then I'm trying to input what here? Password. Try to input the password. And here I'm writing input type equal to password and name equal to password. So then table row, then I'm writing input type equal to submit, input type equal to submit. And this is what here? Login. So I try to click on the login. Once you click on the login, okay, it will try to send a request to the Flask application. It will try to send a request to what? Flask application. Okay, assume that this is my template. What is a template is some login template dot html. Okay, right now this is a template. So if I click on this template, see this is a template. You can see your table. So table column. So here you have a table column. So table column. Okay, right? So I'm just testing it in the live server. So where you input username and input password, then click on login. Once you click on login, this form is submitted to the backend. And what is your backend is Flask application. What is your backend is Flask application. Now this is your application. And this application is having one function. And what is the name of that is login. What is the name of the function? Login. And this function you are accessing it This function you are accessing it by using what URL? Login. URL is also what here? Login. And comma, you are trying to define the request methods. Okay, you are trying to define the request methods. So here you are trying to define the methods. So this is a keyword argument. But even though if you are not writing a request method, what is the default request method is get. Okay, what is the default request method is get. If you want, you can define the request method by saying method, and what is the request method is get. So if you have a multiple request methods you want to handle it, then you write a request method is get, comma request method is what? Post. But here I'm trying to define the request method as what? Get. So in the request method get, how the data is sent? The data is sent by concatenating with the URL. Okay. So this is a login. Now this will render. Sorry. So what will I do is, yeah, this is a login. We'll say this is login template. So this will display which template? Login template. Means if you don't write anything, okay, if you don't write anything, it will, if the URL is blank, if the URL is blank, then it will render which template? Login template as a part of response. Okay, and send what here? Response. Okay. Then after that, I write another. So here you don't require to write a method because the default request method is a get only. If the request method is a post, application dot route. So now I'm trying to develop one function that will receive username and password. That will receive username and password. Okay. So there is a function, and what is the name of the function is login. So what this login function receive the request? But are you write any parameter called request here? No, because request object is created automatically. So you can use this request object. It is a predefined object. It is a predefined object, comma. So I'm writing a Flask, comma. What is the name of the object is request. Say request is a predefined object. You don't require to create. You don't require to create. And it is a built-in object. It is a built-in object here. You can see that. What is the name of the object is request object. Now it is an inbuilt object and object name is the same. Now the request object is a global. Yesterday I said it is a global proxy that encapsulate all data sent from a client to the server using HTTP request. It allows you to access parameters, form data, headers, and uploaded files within your view function. View function is nothing but every function you write it as what? View function. So it is object name is what here? Request. So you can access request request to form data by using request dot form. But when you can access this, if you submit the data by using which method? Post method. But these are what here request parameters. And how you access the request parameters? By using request dot arguments. It is nothing but as a dictionary which contains the request data. Now you can also identify request method by using request dot method. But whenever you send a data, you have to import. Now you have to import which object? Request object. So from Flask import which object here? Request object. Now here we imported which object? Request object. Okay. And after importing the request object, how can you read the data? You can read the data by using user name equal to request dot using a request dot. What is the name of this is args, args. Okay, args. What args contain? What args contain? Query string parameters. What it contain? Query string parameter. It is a dictionary like what object. Then how can you get the data from dictionary? By using a key. By using what key? Or you can get it by using a method called what get. So what is the request parameter name? The request parameter name is uname. You are sending this data, and what is the request parameter name is uname. Okay, then I'm reading a password. Okay, request dot get. What is the request parameter name? The request parameter name is pwd. Now this is your view function. So how many view functions are there here? Two view functions. One is login template and one more is what? Login. So whenever you want to call login view function, you're calling the login view function by using one public URL. And what is a public URL is login. This login view function you are calling it by using a public URL. And what is that public URL is login. Okay. So where you are reading the username and where you are reading what here password. So after reading the username and password, I should verify is it this username password is valid or not. So I create one dictionary which contain users details. Okay, now assume that there is a username. I'm not using database, so I just use one dictionary which contain usernames and passwords. This is a username and this is what here password. Okay, this is a username. This is a username and this is password, right? So how many users are registered here? Three users. Okay. Now I need to find out whether input username is valid or invalid, right? So if username in users in operator is used for what here? Searching. If the given or input username is there in the dictionary, okay, if the username is exists, then you are reading the password of that user. How can you read the value from the dictionary using key? So what is a key is username and users of uname. Users of uname double equal to what here? Password. You are searching username and users and you are reading the password of that user. If the password of the user equal to input password and if the username is exists, then I just display the message. So what is the message I'm saying? Return format. Okay, some username. Hello. So hello and or I'll say welcome. Username welcome. Now this is a response. I'm returning it. Otherwise, I'm trying to return same template. Otherwise, I'm returning what here? Same template. Which template? Login template. Again, I'm displaying which template? Login template. How can I display that login template? Response render template. Render template login template dot html. And this template you are rendering it along with the message. What is the message is invalid username or password. Invalid username or password. See here. How can you send values to the template? You can send the values to the template by using what here arguments. And these are nothing but keyword arguments. These are which arguments? Keyword arguments. Keyword arguments you'll write no. Like in Python, you write a function with the keyword arguments. Okay, there is a function one with the star star kwargs. Okay, these are called which arguments? Keyword, variable length, keyword arguments. Now render template is having variable length, keyword arguments. Okay, variable length, keyword arguments. So whenever you call the function one, you call the function one by sending key and value. You call the function by sending key and value. So how many values are sent to this function one? Two values. But these values are stored. These values are stored with what key? And what is the key is A. And what is the value is 10. So here also render template function is there. This render template is having keyword arguments. It is having which one? Keyword arguments. Now this message is stored in which argument? Keyword argument. Variable length keyword arguments. Okay. So this message I should insert. This message I should insert within the template. This message I should insert within the template. Which message? Invalid username or password. Now, how can you insert the value into the template? You can insert the value into the template by using insert tag. And this is which tag? Insert tag. And what is the name of the argument message? What is the name of the argument? Message. You try to insert a message. If the message is there, it will insert a message. If the message is not there, it doesn't insert any message. Now, see here, how many view functions are there here? Two view functions. One is login template and one more is what? Login. Login template render which template? Login template.html and return the response. Login template render the login template.html and return the response. And login function, it will try to read username and password and verify that username is exist or password is what? Exists. If the password and username is valid, I get a message. What is that response is? Username, welcome. Otherwise, I'm displaying the same template by using a function called render template login template dot html, right? So run the program here. It can run directly from here. Why again? Uh, Not saved. So run the program. No, but actually we have not submitted. So here, now when you click on this template, you click on the template. When you click on this template, then you have to submit, right? You have to submit this form to view function. And what is the view function to which you are submitting? Login. What is the name of the view function? Login function. So login. What is the public URL here? Login. You are accessing this view function by using which URL? Login. You are submitting this form data to which function? Which view function? Login. But what is the request method is? Get. Okay. What is the request method is? Get here. Right. So save the code. Right. So run the server here. Okay, now if you don't type anything, it is render which template? Login template. And here I try to input username and password. So there is a user here and there is a username and there is a password. So this is username and this is what here? Password. After giving username and password, click on what? Login. Now you can see Naresh, welcome. Okay, so it is trying to send this data. This data is sent here. This data is sent, and how you read the data by using which object here? A request object. Request dot arguments dot get. So args is which object? Dictionary object. Okay. And how can you get the data from dictionary object? By using a method called get. You can read the dictionary object content by using a method called what? Get. Okay. Right. Suppose if I'm trying to give invalid username or password, suppose I've given wrong password, you can see invalid username or password. So it is trying to verify. It is trying to verify. Who's verifying? View function. Is it this username is valid? Is it this password is what? Valid. But where it is searching for this username and password in the dictionary. It is searching for this username and password in the dictionary. If the given username and if the given password is valid, you are displaying this message. Otherwise, you are rendering the same template, right? So template, you can send the values to the template as a which arguments, keyword arguments. Okay, there, suppose if you are working with a Django, how you send it as a which parameters, context parameters. But here you are not sending as a context parameters, but you are using as a which arguments, keyword argument. What is a keyword argument here? Message. But this is stored in the context and you are reading and inserting it by using which tag? Insert tag. Insert tag. But you can send either one value, you can send either one value or you can send either more than one value. You can send either one value or you can send either more than one value. If you want to send more than one value, you can give multiple parameters, multiple keyword arguments. So let me tell you, now I think this example you understood. If you want, you can write here request method. So method and define the request method is what here? Get. Okay, it means you are sending a request. Methods or method. HTTP method. What is that name is? So a request, what is it? Router application dot methods. That is what I said. No. So what is the name of the keyword argument is? Okay. This route is a decorator. It accepts various request methods. So this request methods can be either get or post or it can be any other method. So what is the request method is here? Get. Okay. So try to input username and input the password and click on login. You can see Naresh, welcome. right? Yeah, listen here. Yes, listen, right? Yeah, listen. Okay, so you can define the request methods. How you want to send a request? You want to send a request using a get method or post method or put method, right? But if you don't give the request method, what is the default request method is get only. Okay. Yes. Now you can send the data from view to the template. How can you send the data from the view to the template? By using keyword arguments. Suppose assume that there is one view. Okay, there is one view. So which display, okay, which display whose details, some employee details. Okay, there is a view which will display whose details, employee details, and assume that this employee details are there in, assume that this employee details are there in view function, and I want to insert that data into what template. Okay, so this is display underscore emp, and what is the request method is get. Okay, assume that there is an employee data, but where is the employee data in dictionary, which contain employee details. So there is an employee number. Okay, there is an employee number and there is employee name. So this is the name of the employee and there is an employee job and this is a job of the employee and this is employee what here? Salary. This is the employee data and this employee data I want to send to the template. Okay, assume that there is one template. I'm writing a response. Okay, response equal to render template. A response equal to render template. And what is the template name is emp template. Assume that emp template dot html. And to this template, I want to send this data. To this template, I want to send this data. But how you are sending the data as an arguments only. How you are sending the data as a arguments. Okay. So give the argument name. Give the argument name and what is the argument name is emp. Keyword argument name is what? emp. And what is the keyword argument value is emp data. Now here you don't have any context. So in Django you are using as which parameter? Context parameter. But here you are not using any context parameter. You are just giving the keyword argument name. What is the keyword argument name is emp. What is the keyword argument value is emp data, which is dictionary, and return. I'm saying here return a response. Then how can I insert this data into this template with what name? emp. Because what is the argument name is emp. And using argument name, you can able to read the values of dictionary. But this is what dictionary type. This is which type? Dictionary type. Now go to the templates. Add a template. Add a template. And what is the template is emp template dot html. So this is my template. And in this template, I want to add what? Data. In this template, I want to insert the data. So what is the data? Now suppose table. I create a table here. Okay. And define the width. Some width is given. Okay. Then what I'm inserting, what I'm inserting is employee number, table data. So what is the name of the keyword argument is emp. What is the name of the keyword argument is emp. From view function, you are sending a keyword argument. What is the name of the keyword argument is emp. emp is a keyword argument name, and using this argument, you are inserting value emp dot. What is the name of the key is employee number. What is the name of the key is employee number. If you want to insert, if you want to insert the data, you need to insert the data by using insert tag. And what is the name of the keyword argument? EMP. But EMP is which type? Dictionary type. EMP is which type? Dictionary type. But in the previous example, message is which type? String. Message is which type? String. Okay, but here EMP is which type? Dictionary. And dictionary means you need to access data by using what? Key. Now this dictionary is having one key. What is the key is employee number. What is the key is employee number, and I'm saying table data. So here again employee name. This is a column, and here I'm trying to insert emp dot employee name. Emp dot employee name. Okay. In the same way, so you are trying to insert employee job. So column emp dot job. Emp dot job, and again table row, table column. Now this is nothing but employee salary. Employee salary. Okay, emp dot. What is the name of the column is salary, right? So you can send the values from the view function to the template as a keyword argument. That argument can be either list type, that argument can be either dictionary type, that argument can be integer, that argument can be float, that argument can be what? Any type. But these argument you are reading directly into the template with what name? Keyword argument name. So what is the keyword argument name is? EMP. There it is what? There also you access it directly, but that is sent as a part of which argument? Context. But here you don't use any keyword argument called context, you send it directly. You're not using any keyword argument called context, you're sending it directly. So see here, I just call this view function. What is the name of the view function? Display emp. So define the URL. So display underscore emp. You can see whose details? Employee details. Now you can see employee number, employee name, job, and one more is a salary. Now is it get all these details or not? Yes. Okay, you can send data from the view function to the template as a keyword arguments, right? So you can send data to the view function using which method? Post method. Post method. Okay, suppose I want to register the user. I want to register the user. Register user. Okay. So where you submit the data, and registering user is nothing but storing details or doing some changes at which side? Server side. Now what is that request method is? Post method. And request method post, how the data is sent as a part of request body. How the data is sent as a part of request body, and you can read that data by using request dot form. Request dot form, right? So let me tell you that request method is post. Okay. Suppose there is one view function. There is one view function called register. There is one view function called register user. What is the name of the view function is? Register user is the name of the view function. What is the name of the view function? Register user. Okay, this function receive the data. What data? Name, username, and password. But I'm saying no, I'm not communicating with the database, because later I'll tell you how to communicate with the database by using one ORM tool. By using ORM tool. But is it that ORM comes with the Flask? No. Flask is not a full stack framework. Flask is what here? Micro framework. It is not a full stack. It is not a full stack. It is what? Micro. So you don't get all the tools along with what? Flask. right? Suppose register user is there. Okay, it will receive the data application dot Flask application dot route. Now you are sending a request. Okay, now what is the name of the URL is register. The URL name is what here? Register. But you are sending the request by using which method? Post method. When you send a request using a post method where the data is stored in a request object, but request object where it is stored in form, and request object where it is stored in form, and query parameters are stored in which object? Arguments. Request is having what? Arguments. Request is having what? Form. Request is having a form. Request is having arguments. But when it comes to the Django, request is having get, request is having post, request is having get, request is having post. If you are working with Django, if you want to read the data using get method, you are using request dot. What is the name of the dictionary? Get, dot get. If the request method is a get, where the data is stored in get, what is the name of the dictionary? Hold by request object? Get. If the request method is a poster, so where is the data stored in one dictionary available in request object, and what is the name of that dictionary is post. What is the name of the dictionary? Post. But in this is in Django. This is in Django. But when it comes to the Flask, when it comes to the Flask, okay, in Flask where it is stored. Okay, if the request method is a get, where these query parameters are stored, request dot args, request dot args, hold which parameters? Request parameters sent by using which method? Get method. If it is data is sent by using post method, where is the request data in form? Where is the request data in form? And this form, when you are sending a request using which method? Post method. Here request object is having two dictionaries. One is a get and one more is a post. Okay, but here request object is having two objects. One is args and one more is form. So this is when you send the data as a query string. When you send the data as what here? Query string. Now I'll try to read the data submitted by a template. Which template? A registration. Now I can handle both the requests. I can handle get request as well as what here? Post request. Now how many methods are there here? Two methods. How many methods are there here? Two methods. Then here I'll write if request dot method double equal to, if the request dot method double equal to what? Get. If the request method is a get, I render one template. Now this is handling how many request methods? Two request methods. That is a get and one more is what? Post. So get is a request for reading or not? Yes. If the request method is a get, okay, render the template. Which template? Suppose user register. User register. User register template dot user register template dot html user register template dot html when if the request method is what here? Get. When the request method will be a get, when you type a URL in browser, when you click on the hyperlink, all these are what? Request method is what? Get. So get is a method to read information from the server. Okay. So if the request method is a get, you render the template. If the request method is a post, what do you do it? Else if. Okay, else if. Okay, else if or else. Because here only two methods are there. One is a get and one more is what? Post. If the request method is a post, you are reading the data. What data you are reading? Name. Okay, request dot. Request dot. What is the name of the object? Form. Request dot form. What is the name? Form parameter is what? Name. What is the name of the parameter? Assume that name. Okay, then user name. Request dot form. What is the name of? Assume that parameter name is uname. Then I'm trying to read password which is given. Okay, request dot. What is this? Form. Form of. What is the parameter name? Assume that password. After receiving all this data, now you should insert this data into what? Database. But here I am not inserting into a database. I just generate a return a response by saying uh, user name. User name is what here? Registered. Username is what? Registered. Registered successfully. This user is registered what? Successfully by inserting data into a response. Okay, but you are not creating any response object. You are not creating any response object. You are just returning a string. But the string is wrapped into which object? A response object and send it to whom? Client. Okay. So, but there is only one view function. It is handling how many methods? Two methods. One is a get method and one more is what? Post method. Okay, right? Now you have to create one template. What is the name of the template is? User registration template. User registration template. Now this is a template. And in this template, what do you do it? You create a form action. So action is there, method is there. You are submitting this form using which method? Post method. Post method. Okay. So create again. So table, the CSS and everything you can insert directly. So table, column, input the name. You need to input name of the person who want to register it. So input type is text and name equal to. So what is the request parameter name is name and table row and table column. What you are trying to input a user name. So input type is a text and name is uname. You are reading all these values. Here you are reading. What you are reading? Name. So which field value reading? Which field value are reading? Name. Then you are reading value about user name. You are reading value of name. You are reading value of user name. You are reading value of password. You are reading the value of password table column and you are trying to input password. Okay. So input type equal to password and name. What is the name is given? Password. Now here you have a submit. So input type equal to submit. Input type equal to submit and value is register. So you are trying to register the user. So input type equal to submit. Input type equal to submit and value. The value is what here? Clear. Okay, right? Now this is what you are trying to do it. Okay. Submit a reset. Okay, right? Yes. But you are handling this by using only one request method. And what is that request method is get as well as one view. There is only one view and one view is trying to handle both the methods. That is request method is get and one more is what? Post. Online students, online students, online students. Okay, right? So here, when I'm typing URL in the browser, when I'm typing a URL, okay, by giving some register and press enter. Now this is called which request? Get request. Okay, this is called which request? Get request. Okay, when you type URL and press enter, this is called which request? Get. Whenever you type URL and send, that is called request method is get or post. Get. If the request method is get, it is rendering which template? User registration template. It is rendering which template? User registration template. Okay, this template is rendered and send it to what? Browser. Now here you enter the name, you enter username, you enter what? Password. After giving this, you click on register. But this time you are submitting the form. Are you submitting this form or not? Yes. You are submitting this form using which method? Post method. Okay, now you can see. Can you see any data on URL bar? No, because it is not sent as a query parameters. It is not sent as a query parameter. Okay, so you can see NIT is what registered. Correct or not? NIT is what here registered. Okay, but if the request method is a get, if you send any data that is concatenated with the URL, if you send any data that is concatenated with the URL, right? So how can you read the post data? By using request dot form, right? So now here request object is having request. Request is an implicit object. Okay, and it is, I said no, it is which object? Global object. Okay, it is not a local, right? It is a global object. Request object. Request object is created by a request object is created by what? Server. And available to so available to which function here? View function. Okay, request object contains data sent by client to which function? View function. Client to view function are what? Server. So client send data to view function using various request methods. Various request methods. One is I'm talking about get method and one more is post. In request method get, okay, data is sent as a query string, or concatenate with what? URL. Okay, and this data is read by the view. Okay, this data are query parameters or query string. This request query string or query parameters. This request query parameters. This request query parameters are stored inside request object, object as an argument, as an object, as an object, as an object. And what is the name of the object? AR Request dot, how can you read it? What is the syntax is? Request dot, request dot args. And if you want to read the data, you just write request dot args of, what is that? Parameter name. Okay, request dot args parameter name. So request dot args and again give what? Parameter name. So when, if the request method is what? Get. If the request method is what here? Get. So where the data is stored in one object. And what is the name of the object is args. But if request method is post, if request method is post, so this data is stored inside request object as one object, as one object. And what is the name of the object is form. What is the name of that object is form, request dot form. And if you want to read the data, you'll say request dot form. Now no form here, form requested. Listen here, बाहर जाके बात कर सकते हैं क्या? है हमोगा का नहीं, जाओ बात करो यार. व्हाट इज देयर इन दैट? अच्छा नहीं लगता यार. एक बार दो बार अच्छा लगता है, बार बार अच्छा नहीं लगता है. सही है नहीं? हाँ, एक दो बार अच्छा लगता है यार. एवरी टाइम इफ यू आर डूइंग इट देन सुबह सुबह दिमाग खराब हो जाता है. दिमाग नको खराब करो. Because I want to start with fresh mind. If I first class, if I disturb the complete whole day, I'll take six batches. Six batches. Six batches means complete gone. So start with cool. Frustration नको करो यार. If you are interested, listen. Otherwise, get lost. No use. देखो अभी भाषण देना पड़ता मेरे को. क्यों, मेरे को जरूरी है क्या? Is it required? भाषण required है? Not required, right? क्यों दे रहा मेरे यार? दिमाग नहीं करने का. क्यों? एक बार देखो तो अच्छा रहता है यार. क्या कर रहे यार? उन्हें ऐसा कर रहा है, ऐसा कर रहा है, क्या यार गलीज दिखता. I should use some words, but I should not use it. Understood? Better. You understood? मैं बोला ना, एक दो बार मैं देखता हूँ यार. बार बार बर्दाश्त से. I should not think that sorry is not saying anything is granted. सही नहीं. कुछ वो, you are a kid sir. LKG UKG kid sir. No no. अच्छा नहीं लगता मेरे को ही. अच्छा नहीं लगता कुछ बोले तो. I should not come to that stage where I should say something, right? बैठो सुनो चले जाओ खत्म. बात कुछ भी कर लो. No problem. After the class, who are you? Yes or no? Huh? What year? Request dot form. सुबह सुबह दिमाग खराब करते हैं यार. Huh? So parameter name, request dot form, parameter name, right? So just write like this. अरे सुनो यार. अरे एक्चुअली मैं कुछ बोले तो मेरे को अच्छा नहीं लगता. आई फील अरे क्यों बोला बोलते. आपको ऐसे नहीं दिखता होगा मैं सोच. आई थिंक अरे क्यों बोला मैं खाली पीली बोल के मेरे को अंदर रहता. जाने दो बोल के। पर एक बार जाने दो, दो बार जाने दो, तीन बार, ऐसे इफ यू कीप ऑन रिपीटिंग इट, नहीं सुनते यार, नहीं सुधरते, नहीं सुनते। दो है। हाँ? सुधारना अलग है, सुनना भी नहीं है। हाँ? सही है नहीं? क्वेश्चन पूछे तो नहीं आता, क्वेश्चंस नहीं पूछना, कुछ नहीं पूछना। हाँ? ऐसा और नो? व्हाट यार? हाँ? I copy this code. Understood? In this, what we learn? How to read data from UI, front end, by using how many methods? Two methods. यहाँ पे get method use करके you can write args.get, or it is a dictionary, right? You can directly use a key. Using key, you can read directly value. Using key, you can directly read the value, right? Yes. The next is now templates. I'll copy template also. अभी फ्लास्क में तो बहुत कुछ भी नहीं है ना। डिजाइन को बोले तो वो नहीं इंस्टॉल हो रहा, ये नहीं हो रहा, वो नहीं हो रहा, मगर इसमें तो कुछ नहीं है। खाली इंस्टॉल फ्लास्क, रन द सर्वर। सही है नहीं? सो देयर यू शुड थिंक अबाउट लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, बट हियर ओनली वन प्रोग्राम, one application which contains so many functions. Useful here. This is useful if you are learning AI applications. You build a model, how you test it. You require a front end, generative AI, agentic AI. You develop it. You develop agents. How you consume it? Web only. Yes or no? Huh? So it is compulsory. Backend is compulsory. Backend is compulsory because you send an API request to what? Models. APIs. You call backend calls APIs of different models that gets the data, that response you process it and generate again. You organize it in one form or it is in one template and send it to what? Client. Carrying on. So backend is compulsory. Don't think that अरे backend क्यों जरूरी है बोल के, but it is compulsory. Okay, but that you know it if you attend interviews, huh? Okay, right? This is template. Okay, now I'll teach you Flask. You know that they have given Flask, but they'll say Flask is same as Django. Learn by yourself. Khatam. हो गया. Understood? But I'm taking Flask. Every batch I'll take a Flask. I'm not saying learn Flask and Django same. It is a big, it is a small, nothing Flask. Did I say it like that? No, no. Is it I'm teaching or not? Huh? फिर भी मालूम रहे ना how you develop API using Flask. How to communicate with a database using Flask. Not like Django, right? View is same, but remaining configurations you should know it right. URLs.py is not there. How you configure URL? You have to use route. अब पूरा तो मालूम रहे ना minimum. If Django Flask is the same, then why Flask? Sir, no, some differences will be there. Huh? Suppose I know Django. Can I work with Flask? Huh? No, I cannot work. I cannot work. Can I work with the first API? No. Can I work with the Streamlight? No, I cannot work. But it looks certain things similar. Not all. Words are same. Template, view, like that. But certain configurations are, suppose I want to communicate with the database. How? There you have a settings.py, database configuration, ORM, inbuilt ORM. Here nothing is there. Project structure is there. Huh? No. Then how to communicate? You know Django. Can you work with the Flash? No, you cannot work. You cannot work. You cannot work. Okay. So compulsory, you should learn. Okay, how to send the data? Suppose if you take a simple one, how to send the data from view to template. There you are using context. But if I'm writing your context and if I'm doing it, then can I read it that? No, I cannot read it. Okay, no. So syntaxes you have to learn. Syntaxes you have to learn, right? Compulsory. You should have a knowledge of that. So there is a login here. Okay, now next one is how to. Now there is no forms. Is it any form? Is there model form like this? Huh? No, that itself is a form. Getting or not? So it is not for developing very big. Now suppose I send a request using post. Whenever you send a request using post, compulsory you have to add CSRF token. Are you added? No. Secured secured application or not secured? Not secured. Cross-site request forgery is possible. Cross-site request forgery is what? Possible. But in Django, cross-site request forgery is not possible because it will generate one key. Compulsory, that key should be shown to the server. If the key is not shown to the server, it will think that a request is not from the same client. Somebody stolen this key and send it. Yes or no? Okay. So that's the reason you must know some differences, right? You must know some differences. This is login. One more is there. What is that? User registration. Okay. Now then, how to communicate with the database? How to communicate with the database? Database. Communicating with database. How can you communicate with the database? Now, Flask doesn't have any inbuilt ORM. Flask doesn't provides any inbuilt inbuilt ORM. Nothing is there. Django ORM is there, but Flask doesn't have any inbuilt ORM. ORM, you know ORM stands for? Yes, object relational mapping. Object relational mapping here. Communicating with the database using object oriented programming. Communicating with the database using object oriented programming, right? So there you create a model, you configure it, model, migrations, migrate, lot of things. Here, no, no. Okay. So communicating with the database, but Flask doesn't provide any inbuilt ORM. If it is not providing a ORM means you can communicate by using SQL statements. You can communicate by using which statements? SQL statements. You can write, you can establish connection to our database server, create a cursor, send SQL statements. But whenever you are talking about web, to avoid this SQL injection problems, you'll try to create or you'll try to use which one? ORM. Database independent applications, if you want to develop, then use which one? ORM. Then Flask uses third party. It uses which one? Third party ORM tools. It uses third party ORM tools to communicate with what? Database. But what are those third party ORM tools? Now there is one tool called SQL Alchemy, right? So there are a lot of tools out there. There are a lot of tools out there, ORM tools of Flask, I'll say. But there are so many ORM tools out there. But one of the tool used by the Flask is Flask SQL Alchemy. Okay, this is one tool, ORM tool, and one more is PV. and one more is Pony ORM, and one more is Mongo Engine. Anyway, Mongo Engine is a non-SQL or SQL? Non-SQL. Getting on. So what is a popular one is SQL Alchemy. So it is micro framework that doesn't include any built-in ORM, giving developer flexibility to choose their own database management tools. Any ORM you can use it, but everything will be what? Same. Everything will be what? Same, right? So Flask uses, now there are different ORM tools. First one is what? SQL. First one is Flask SQL Alchemy, right? ALCHEMY. And second one is some PV. And third one is Pony ORM. All these are not required. Anyway, Mongo engine is comes with Mongo only, right? So Mongo engine is used to communicate with which database? MongoDB database, right? But here I'm telling you which one? Flask SQL Alchemy, right? It is an ORM tool, third party ORM tool it is. It is not provided by Flask. You have to install this SQL Alchemy, the most popular ORM for Flask, providing Pythonic interface that maps database tables to the Python classes. It is a wrapper around SQL Alchemy, which is considered the best ORM for Python due to speed and support for complex queries. Now, can I use this ORM in Django? Tell me, can I use this ORM in Django? No, because it is having its own ORM tools. Inbuilt ORM engines are there. Inbuilt ORM engines are there. So it doesn't allow you to use what? External. It doesn't allow you to use what? External. So what is the name of the ORM tool is? SQL or Alchemy. Flask SQL Alchemy. But Django uses what? Django ORM. Then what are the basic steps to communicate with the database? Okay. So not like Django, you have to follow some other steps. But what are